Thank you. Perfect. Betty, and you can start.
Good afternoon, everyone, or morning, depending on where you are around the world, or evening. It's a real pleasure to welcome you on both of the three directors. They'll have a few minutes towards the end of the session. A few housekeeping rules. The first is that have a very packed schedule, and therefore we will be very strict on the times. So I would like to apologize to the speakers, the moderators, all those who have participated into the program, but please make sure that you all keep in time, and therefore also to the audience, you will see it's very full. A second announcement is that the meeting is fully recorded, and therefore the sessions will also be available eventually on YouTube, on the YouTube ACCESS.SPACE channel. The third element is that in order to keep things in order, questions and answers should be asked through the Q&A element, and the chat should be limited to discussions that are necessary. So having started on that, I'm going to introduce a few slides for the conference that will put the picture. So let me show the slides for the event. So you should now see my presentation. It's an opportunity to welcome you all. The first thing I would like to say, thanking the sponsors for the ACCESS.SPACE Alliance 2021 virtual conference. Sorry, Satellite Limited, Leaf Space, and New Space Capital. Without this support, it's very difficult to move on to a new stage in the organization. The executive team at the ACCESS.SPACE Alliance, in addition to me, you have Tony Azzarelli, who's on the line, and Christian, who's also on the line. So it's the core team. The organization is developing. We're building up a council. We have the membership that is growing. So there are lots of people behind that, and I would like to thank Camille, who's the intern and has been amazing at working with us into the preparation of the conference. What is ACCESS.SPACE Alliance, for those who are not very familiar? It's a non-profit organization for the small and new space sector. It was formed in March 2019. It has offices in the UK, France, Belgium, where Alexandre Mensik, who's an active representative of the Alliance, is based, and Germany, of course. We have a formal membership of over 50 members, which are organizations, universities. The memberships are very affordable. That's the principle of the organization. It's really to connect, advise, advocate, promote research and standardize for the sector. The registration is amazing. Even with a short notice, we've got over 500 registered individuals. A lot of them are based in the UK, probably because of the timing. But then you have an outreach in the US, Europe, but everywhere around the world. And I think that is an amazing achievement to see all that many people in all that many countries being present. And I thank all of them for their support. This is another way of representing the registration for the in a geographic view. And as you can see, there is a big portion of Europe, but it's not the only part. It's around the world. And now this is the start of the conference. But as we start the conference, maybe Tony and Christian would like to add some things.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. We have a great agenda for the 2 days, today until around 7 p.m. CT. After 7 p.m. CT, we will also have a virtual drink and chat. I have sent you an email with the new link for that chat. We will have to go in a meeting room, and then through that meeting room, I will allow everyone attending the chat to be split up in different rooms. And there you can actually meet and speak with other colleagues that are attending the conference. That way you have an hour, or let's say 45 minutes, a chance to speak with other people. Unfortunately, I will not be able to select and choose who's going to go into a room. There's too many of you, so you will go randomly in different rooms, up to about 10 people for each room. If you have an issue with not finding anyone in your room, just send me an email, and I will try to make sure that you get into a room. Okay, so we'll send you the link also on viewing the link online here in Zoom, but you have received an email. And I'll let now Christian say a few words, and then we can start. Christian?
I think his connection may be hit because it is frozen, his image. In the meantime, I would like to say that raise the hand is only for the speakers. So if you want to intervene, you can ask questions in the Q&A section, or you can discuss things in the chat. So please use these facilities to reach out if you have comments or questions.
Okay.
I don't. Christian, are you on now? If you want to say a few words, but I think your connection is not great.
I think, Betty, we should move on to the keynote speaker, and if Christian has something to say, we'll do it at the end, okay?
So as we kick off this amazing program, there is a rich diversity that is addressing issues that are relevant to you, that are of interest, more or less. And I think it's very interesting to see how things move from the space segment, the ground segment, in a variety of topics, depending on technologies. We try to have a rich program. It's actually a lot of very senior people talking. So I hope you can all join us. And as we kickstart the program today, I'm very pleased to welcome our first keynote speaker. It's a great pleasure to have Kevin O'Connell with us. Kevin is a real expert and has a huge knowledge in space commerce activities. Kevin was the director of space commerce at the Department of Commerce in the last American administration, and he's been instrumental in developing a lot of relationship and understanding and developing an ecosystem favorable for space commerce. But we will discuss that with also your new role, Kevin, and the understanding of the relationship and the support between the private sector, the public sector, and try to build some momentum for the people in the line and listening to us. So, Kevin, can I invite you to deliver your keynote speech? Thank you, Kevin.
Absolutely, and thank you, Betty, very much, and thanks to the Access Space Alliance for the invitation to help kick things off here today. Delighted to be with you wherever you are. There's a very impressive list of entrepreneurs, academic, and government organizations that are represented here virtually. In fact, I think it was only 300 the last couple of days. Now we're told it's over 500. So quite impressive. And I'm very honored to be here to talk to you about the exciting developments in the space economy. I recently founded a company called Space Economy Rising after departing the U.S. government, having served, as Betty said, as the director of the Office of Space Commerce at the U.S. Department of Commerce. While space has always been important from a strategic and civil scientific perspective, and will continue to be, we gained recognition for the rapidly growing economic importance of space. While at Commerce, I had the pleasure of working with traditional and new international space partners, where I found great enthusiasm for the potential benefits of space activities to economic growth, workforce development, and innovation. A recent headline in the United States read, "All companies are space companies now!" exclamation point. While none of the space companies on this call would disagree, what we're seeing is many new companies, non-space companies, trying to leverage space for their own business purposes, including the creation of new services and their related social and economic benefits. We've seen this most starkly in how space has contributed during the pandemic that all of our countries have faced. Prior space investments allowed for remote monitoring of facilities, the efficient delivery of badly needed goods and services, the availability of telemedicine and educational services, and others. Space industry associations and organizations like ACCESS.SPACE Alliance were allowed to provide unique aspects of the space economy to governments, including things like effect on talent, revenue, et cetera, government programs. And I think this is partly the reason why the space industry has had such a remarkable turnaround during the past year. Every once in a while, I still run into a few space economy skeptics, but they only need to be reminded that space is important if they're checking the weather, banking online, doing some other kind of a transaction, this call in particular, calling a loved one, or actually using complex data sets with companies around the world. In some ways, this is actually the paradox of space. We use it so many times a day without actually recognizing its importance. And I think this is a community that can do better at that particular issue, socializing the importance of space. So what's actually going on here? We're witnessing an incredible transformation in space activities based on a shift from traditional government acquisition models to one that is more commercially efficient. Governments are still very important in terms of setting national priorities, governance, and providing seed or program funding for exploratory and public missions, but the arrival of private sector finance and other factors have shifted risk for entrepreneurs trying to bring new capabilities to market. Governments are increasingly shifting to one of many customers for a variety of space missions. Some of you heard me talk before about the clusters of activities that I see in the global space market. First, disruption, where folks are trying to take a previously commercialized function like communications or remote sensing and just do it better. Okay, whether it's based on a new technology or a new business model or something like that. Second, inventors who are trying to create wholly new capabilities like in-space ferries, additive manufacturing, planetary mapping and exploration. And third, a more recent cluster of companies and entrepreneurs that are focused on the infrastructure for the space economy. And I would put into that category everything from space medicine to nuclear propulsion, or new ways to feed, house, and train the next wave of space travelers. We're heading into a world of blisteringly fast, ubiquitous communications and wholly new insights about developments on our planet. And the lunar economy is a lot closer than you think. These activities are taking advantage of the convergence of factors not previously available in the space community. We're heading toward a launch-on-demand future, which, combined with the small sat community, the ACCESS.SPACE community, allows entrepreneurs to try out new technical concepts, adapt, and bring services to market much faster and often cheaper than in the past. Developments from the availability of lightweight materials for spacecraft design to artificial intelligence for processing huge amounts of sense data and others are driving incredible innovations from space. Wholly new market segments in satellite servicing will again improve the economics of space and ultimately make it more accessible. In other words, the space economy is accelerating. While not everyone will succeed, space is becoming a much more normal global market. In other words, there's one where there's competition, where there's service differentiation, specialization, merger and acquisition activity, and other behaviors that one sees in a normal market. International partnerships are vitally important across a network of government and commercial activities, especially with emerging space countries. And I was excited to see the list of new space players on the list of attendees here today. We're also gaining important insights into what will fuel the space economy. Entrepreneurship, strong continuing financial support, including private sector finance, regulatory modernization, and talent are some of the key ingredients. And let me stay on this talent issue for just a moment. It's tempting to think that we will only need scientific and technical talent in the space economy, but this is way too narrow a way to think about it. We're going to need a diverse set of skills, from artists to teachers to business specialists to economists and others, to take full advantage of the opportunity. Not everyone will need a technically advanced degree either. Educators are beginning to recognize the opportunity and necessity of talking about space at a much earlier stage in the educational system, and they're able to inspire it with the developments on the International Space Station, on the Moon, and on Mars. So a very exciting time for all that are involved in this activity. We also need to do a better job of accounting for our space activities within our national economies. While at Commerce, we worked with the Bureau of Economic Analysis, our nation's main economic statistics organization, to leverage the important work of the OECD and others for purpose of improving the rigor and relevance of space statistics. What was very interesting was the strong interest from space agencies and economic ministries from around the world. Better accounting will drive much more informed decisions about everything from investment, both government and private sector, to regulation, to talent development, and many, many others. Regulators need better technical and economic information to understand how to encourage innovation, not stifle it. For all of the positive things that can encourage the space economy, it is very important to take measures to keep space safe and sustainable. I spent a lot of time on this during my time at Commerce, including with industry and international partners. Even as our governments work to develop badly needed rules of the road for space within the UN COPWO system and others, the private sector has technical capabilities to bring to this problem now, whether in helping design spacecraft for minimal debris creation, improving our understanding of the space environment, designing improved communications and warning systems for space operators, and increasingly, new concepts for active debris removal. Academic and research organizations can play a very important role in creating new technical and organizational concepts to drive space behaviors in more sustainable ways. Space governance must find ways to keep up with the blisteringly fast technical developments in this sector, mostly through staying close to and leveraging industry in developing standards. These are the kind of issues that we will work in Space Economy Rising with a wide range of academic, industry, and international partners. There's an awful lot to do with roles for many people and organizations at different levels. Aside from the direct benefits we expect to see from space activities, just like in the Apollo program, we can expect to see many new secondary and tertiary impacts on how we do things on Earth in areas ranging from medicine to manufacturing to the management of data centers and many, many, many others. I hope that I've given you some food for thought today as we get started and we can find our way to be together again in the near future. Thanks again for having me, and I wish you a productive rest of the conference. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Kevin, for your keynote speech. It's been an amazing opportunity to set the scene, and I think you've captured very well the various aspects that need to be addressed. And even though there are no headings directly connected to each of the topics you've mentioned, and space sustainability is one for all, if I may, it doesn't mean that it's not going to be addressed. Actually, it will be addressed because all topics are built under this kind of framework and important elements that contribute to develop a successful commercial space system, ecosystem, if you want. So that is critical. So thank you very much again, Kevin.
Absolutely.
For your participation. I don't know if Christian now is back up and wants to provide his welcoming speech, or if there are some quick questions that people have. It's a real pleasure because at the moment we have over 150 participants already listening out of the 500. Christian, you want to say something?
Yes, please, very shortly. So apologies for the connection issues. I'm in Seychelles right now. We have a rainstorm outside affecting the connectivity. I'd like to welcome everybody and thank especially our speakers and our members, as well as the sponsors, for making all this happening. I'm looking forward to see you all later in the sessions on laser communications and 10:45 Eastern Time, 3:45 UK time, and look forward to a great conference. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Christian, for this input. What I suggest now, Tony, is that you may want to slowly bring on board the speakers for the next session.
Yes,
Bye, Kevin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, everyone. Now it's time that maybe I bring on board the next panel. If the panelists and the moderator of the next panel, which is the lunar panel, could you please raise your hands as I instructed you this past week? Betty, maybe you can stop also your video. Thank you so much for organizing this, Betty.